Hey, welcome to another Inspyrd Talks Wednesday at noon hour. Thank you for being here. These talks are meant to inspire people who want to coach or those who are coaching and want to up their game. Every week, we're going to introduce another coach or clinician or someone who's making a big difference in the world. And that's our commitment to you. And before we start, I'd like to ask you a question. It's a question I like to pose all the time because I believe trauma is an injury that can heal. I believe that when you're up against stuff, it could be a sign of your weakness if you chose, but if you chose, it could be the doorway to healing and moving forward. So what if the challenges you face today aren't really a sign of any weakness or a sign of any resistance in the universe? They're just a challenge that you're meant to meet, and they're a doorway to greatness. So let that sit in your mind as I introduce our guest today. Our guest today is Larisa Makuch. Larisa is the author of this amazing book right here. Whoops, I'll get it right so it doesn't glare. Stop Procrastinating Your Life Away. Larisa is dedicated to helping high achievers who know they're designed for more, stop holding themselves back and step into life and business the way they want and love. She's the CEO of the Abundance Academy. She leads people radically to expand their lives by revolutionizing how they think and the standards they set for themselves. She blends timeless principles with cutting-edge research. Larisa directs her clients through mental barriers and into unstoppable confidence, authenticity, and empowerment. She is a savvy, sought-after author, speaker, master results coach, and trainer. Larisa holds designations as a trainer and institute head of neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, master of timeline therapy, master of results coach. She is also a certified consultant with the Bob Gallagher Institute. She is she is regularly featured in media and holds regular events to serve her global community. Welcome, Larisa.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here, Alan.
Well, we're excited to have you here. And that's quite a bio. I love reading people's bios, right? Because we know them, but we don't spend a lot of time knowing them, right? Mm-hmm. And we don't spend a lot of time knowing the work they do. And so I said at the beginning, we're here to help people who are thinking about being a coach or who are starting into coaching know what's possible. What does coaching actually look like when you're a tenured coach creating results for clients and making a difference in the world? So before we get actually into your coaching story, Larisa, why don't you give us a bit of your backstory? You can go back as far as you want, but what was the journey to get here to this interview today?
All right. I like how far back do you want to go?
Your choice. Make it relevant to coaching.
Relevant. Okay. So I'm going to go back 25 plus years. And my first career was in financial services. And I remember that was when I first got
into 6 years old?
I was 6 years old, of course. Yeah, sure. Yes. I actually, ironically, I read my first financial book when I was 8. So
okay, so I was right.
So something like that. But I remember I got into this world of financial services. I was getting licensed. I was excited and I understood money. I understood all the principles. I could do all the check boxes, but then I had to do this thing called talk to people. And I was like, what a waste of time. This is so hard. And I started learning about personal growth and development because all the top company leaders, what did they do? They went to seminars. They read books by John Maxwell and, I think Bob Proctor was one of them. Who else were we studying? I can't remember at this time, but there were some really powerful books that we were reading and they all encouraged us to start feeding our minds. I did it because I am compliant. And I realized as I went along, I'm like, perhaps I could learn something because I did not learn this stuff in school. I got good grades because I worked my tail off, but I didn't understand most of what I studied. Like I was a biology major for 2 years. Ask me about how the cycle of photosynthesis works. I have no idea. I don't remember. I passed organic chemistry. I'm not sure how, but I did. And so I learned these things just to get a good grade. And finally, when I was in this world of financial services, I started learning things to actually move me forward, things that really mattered. And over the years,
that's the turning point from esoteric learning to functional learning.
Well, I started to see the value of it. I can't say I was competent at it by any means. I had the desire to be competent, but my family and not so much my friends, but a lot of my family, they would be like, Larisa, You're so nice. You're so book smart, but where are those life smarts? I did not have those life smarts. I had the book smarts. And it was because I knew how to work. I had work ethic. That was one thing I had going for me. But over the years, I got involved in different businesses, real estate investments. I did sales for a garage door newspaper. I had a pole dance home party business where we did birthday and bachelorette parties for women. I ended up running a Pilates studio. I became an instructor and somehow 10 years later ended up running the studio alongside the owner. So I've had different kinds of paths in my career. I never really knew where I was going. God always put something in front of me and I went with it. And I started to really love business. But what I also realized is during that time, the one thing that was constant was I kept reading books. I kept studying. I kept going to seminars. And at some point along the path, I'm not quite sure when, at some point, probably about 20 years ago, I started hiring coaches. At first, it was because, so I just hired coaches and I was like going through my midlife crisis in my 20s. and I was like, I need decisions.
How old were you when you started hiring coaches?
Right before I got divorced. So probably like mid 20s, 20 years.
That's young though, that's young to reach out and seek coaching.
Yeah, well, but I studied Tony Robbins. I studied all the big people. They all had big coaches and they're like, you need to find a coach and you need to find someone that's going to work for you. So I didn't really know how to do that. I went through this whole process. It was so painful, but I finally found someone I trusted and it was okay.
What were you coaching specifically about? That's interesting to me.
I think I was just really confused. I was looking for answers and I wanted someone else to tell me what they were. I still love it when people give me the answers. Realized I have to find out my own. I have much more competence in that arena, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't satisfied and I wasn't really sure what to do about it or where to go. I'd studied all of these things. Like here's my little library. Boom. Right.
Ooh, ha.
Yeah, so we would have fun, right? You can come over and we can have a play date. But I studied a lot, but there were things I just didn't understand. And so I would feel dumb when I'd read a book and I'm like, well, how does this actually work? Like I'm doing the steps, but why isn't it working? And then at some point I started going to seminars and I did some of the things and they were good, but there were a lot of other things that just didn't work. And so I spent a lot of money, a lot of energy, a lot of time pursuing these things. And yes, my life got better. I started getting more confident, but there was also an aspect of things that was like always a missing piece. And this is something I find a lot of our clients experience as well. They're like, I've done the Joe Dispensza, I'm doing the 5 a.m. club, but there's just something kind of missing. And I learned what works and what doesn't, like more importantly, what doesn't. And I love using affirmations as this example because people in the personal growth industry are like, let's do affirmations, affirm that you're going to be a billionaire or get everything you want. Awesome. But every time you say it, if you feel like a freaking liar and you're like, I am amazing, you're full of crap or whatever it is. Like you're talking back to yourself. That's not constructive. And what I started learning, like a big turning point was when I was on mat leave, I started studying with Bob Proctor. I heard about him in the financial services arena and I just dismissed him. I studied a little bit, but I didn't really get into his work. And then I was on mat leave. My husband's like, girl, you're driving me crazy. You need help. And I am not going to coach you. You need someone to talk to you because you're going cuckoo. I was on bed rest. I like being active and that is not my happy zone. Love my kid. I have way more fun with him now than that first year, but that was not an enjoyable year. And so I started studying with Bob and literally within a week, what I realized is he helped me change the lens in which I look at the world. And I literally started looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. And this might be naive, but I totally live in a pretty happy bubble right now. I realize there's things going on, but they don't have to affect me. And for the first time, I was able to start embracing these things. They didn't all work out, but there was like this next level that was able to penetrate this hard shell of resistance. And one of the things Bob was brilliant at was taking these high level spiritual concepts and making them accessible for real people. And
Wow.
and a lot of times you'll listen to his stuff and he'll say nice things on his YouTube videos. But when you actually study with him, when you actually do his programs, like he's saying deep and profound stuff. When you actually read the texts that he references, like Thomas Troward talking about order being heaven's first law, and really looking at how you think, he's talking about some deep stuff. He uses cute little metaphors and nice little stories, but he wanted to make these things accessible to real people. And he did that. And so
how old is your son now?
My son's 8. He's 8.
Okay. So 8 years ago, you
Yeah.
come out of this slumber party where you're on bed rest, you hit Bob Proctor and he hits you hard. Then what starts happening?
It's literally like spirit flows to you and through you. And that's really what it was. It took me a while to fully embody those principles, but literally within that first week, I went back to my Pilates studio. And working in a Pilates studio, you're not really around a lot of grumpy people. If they're grumpy coming, they leave pretty happy. Like this is not a bad environment. This is like cream of the crop. You talk about like yes, it was a corporation. We had a huge staff. We had multiple studios. We were run like a real business, but the drama is like so minuscule compared to what people complain about. Like,
yes,
it's so minor. And so it's a really pretty good place to be. But I went back there and I was like, whoa. I remember a couple times I went back, I was like, I need to put earmuffs on. I'm like, and some of the conversations, I was like, I don't even want my son to be around them. And like, this is, I didn't say anything like that. This is probably one of the first times I'm voicing that, but I was like, this is like a really good place with really good quality people. And I was like, they don't know what's coming out of their mouth.
No.
And so I started being really protective of my energy, of who I spent time with, of how I started interacting with the world. And
had you already studied NLP at this point?
We did all the Tony Robbins programs back in 2004. So yes.
But you hadn't become certified.
I hadn't, no, like in his business or in his leadership academy, it's kind of like an NLP prac course, but without the certification. And the application of the exercises is very ad hoc. I mean, it's super entertaining. It was one of my favorite programs that he wasn't even at. However, definitely going through prac, actually, like going through both experiences, I had some basis for it. I had the mental conditioning and I had the acceptance of the ideas already, but the execution, the finesse, the confidence to use them, to really know what the hell you're doing. Like you actually need to go to a certification. And I think that's the beautiful thing. So I'm working with Bob. I started doing that. And probably about like 6 to 8 months later, I found a random weekend workshop. I went to a networking event, found a weekend workshop, ended up in a prac course, master prac course, and trainer's training. And so I did all of my NLP and hypnotherapy training. I had no intention of doing it, but God led me to it. And I said, okay. But what it did was Bob brought the spiritual side and the energetic side of things and the abundance side, but he didn't bring a lot of the science. He didn't bring a lot of the structure or the systems. And it's
so interesting. Very few people, I think, would reference Bob as bringing a spiritual side, which is very cool.
That is like my big thing. Everyone's like, oh, he's manifestation and abundance. But like I said, it's not, if you don't study him, you're going to miss it. And that's like a big nuance. I think a lot of people miss, just being like, oh yeah, like it's self-image. Oh, it's like, he'll say these things and he's saying them, but you actually have to peel back the layers to get the significance of what he's doing. And his students really get that. But most people are going to miss it. And they're like, yeah, let's follow his principles. But you have to study it. Like Bob made us read the same article for 30, 60, 90 days, the exact same article. Why? Power of repetition. When I did that with my clients, around day 30, they're like, I finally understand what this means. And if you think about even like, why do people read the Bible? Why do people do Bible studies and study the same thing for years and decades? Because you're not going to get it the first time. And the first time you understand it, like at the outer bullseye, and then you go deeper, and then you go deeper, and then you go deeper, and you're like, this stuff is really good. And the deeper you go, the more these nuances turn you on. They're so profound. You're just like, this word means this, and look at how they said it, and look at the ripple effect. Like, I mean, I get geeked out by the simplest things. I don't need fancy new technology to get like super psyched out about a concept. You could just say decision. And I'm like, oh my God, like, let's go talk. And I think yes, it's a bit nerdy. However, there's significance behind the words you say, how you show up. And so when I brought the world of NLP into things, and I actually started to study it, it's another tool, it's another modality. There are so many tools, everything can work, but it brought more of that structure and that scientific, that concrete aspect to this woo-woo world of energy, manifestation, spirituality. They're both good. They say the same thing. They do the same thing. They just use different tools, different exercises, different language. Like, Reiki is awesome, but so is strategic planning. Like,
I always say,
like,
Larisa, that it's the person wielding the weapon. So you can have a lightsaber and it's just illuminating the world, or you can be a Jedi Knight, right? And you know, I prefer to be around Jedi Knights. I generally believe you get more benefit from being around Jedi Knights. But that's a beautiful backstory, and thank you for that. But here we are today, and you coach, right? You lead people into achieving abundance. I love the name of your academy. It's brilliant. So who do you work with? Who do you work with? What is their real world problem when they show up across the room from you?
So we work with professional women leaders, mostly entrepreneurs, but some are employed. But our women, they don't just work for a paycheck, they work to make a difference in the world. And they have really good lives. Like, it's not like anything is dramatically wrong, but they know it could be better. They're doing the work. They've pursued personal growth in some aspect. Like, it's hard for me to work with someone that has not cracked a self-help book or listened to a podcast. We don't relate to one another very easily. But they've done the work and they know it could be better. They're holding themselves back. They've got self-sabotage patterns, but they're sneaky. And they're just sick and tired of it. A lot of times, and this has come up this past year, and I didn't even realize it, but a lot of times they're seeking a community, and they may or may not be able to articulate that. Yeah. But that's actually one of the biggest reasons people stay with us. They're like, wow, like, the community is really good. I never wanted a community. I didn't even want to get into the coaching space. However, we've created something because it works. And so we help women really boost their integrity with themselves. We help women set big goals and big dreams that are actually—
That's a beautiful statement. You help them boost their integrity with themselves. We always think, people keep, you hear about having integrity, but it's with others. Yeah. And you said something a long time ago about affirmations, and I'm fully in your camp. I talk fairly technically, and I like Bob Proctor because he has that circle where he talks about the subconscious and the conscious. And I talk about conscious and unconscious. And when you have an affirmation that's bullshit, your unconscious mind you're literally—
you're the middle finger.
yeah, exactly. You're creating conflict. And then if your actions don't have integrity with yourself, you're causing yourself a lot of grief. It's like an anchor behind you. I'm interested, as you describe that ideal client and this real world problem you solve for them. I really like lenses to look at things. And I'm thinking spiral dynamics as I hear you talk. These are VL5 women transitioning to VL6 thinking, or embracing VL6 thinking. I don't want to pigeonhole them, but that's kind of what I hear, right? And because they're trying to make a good thing better, but they're very successful in their VL5 life. So they're actually embracing some 6, perhaps 7 thinking. Am I on track there?
We've definitely got a cohort of VL4. But I would say they want to embrace VL6 thinking, but without throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Correct.
And I think that's a big differentiator.
VL4 6s are powerful people. They're important people, right? But they have jobs and they work in nonprofits.
Yeah, they want to do the bigger thing. They want to embrace their spirituality, their satisfaction, their energy. However, they also want to have that reality check, have those systems in place, and still maintain that growth mindset. I think a lot of times when we do fully enter that VL6, it's we reject so many things below that, and they're not looking for that. They want to have it all. They want to have their cake and eat it too, but they want it to be healthy and very protein based.
I love it. And so as you think about those clients, do you use metrics? I mean, for a business person, the easiest metric about their business is how much revenue and how much profit they make. Those, when you're a business coach, I've done some business coaching, I know you have too, those metrics are easy. But when you're a more holistic coach and you're a personal coach, metrics are harder to develop. What kind of metrics do you use with your clients?
I mean, that's something that I'd love to incorporate. I think that's a really great thing that's on the list that hasn't made it up in a formal way. But one of the things we do try to do is really look at each person and the growth that they're making and show them and help them connect their dots. Because if we don't remind them of where they started and continually show them what the difference is on their path, they forget because they've evolved and all of a sudden they've got new first world problems. Like we have so many luxury problems in our community. It's fabulous. But these new luxury problems might take over and they forget all of the growth that they've done. And so we've had people that have achieved, like they've taken their families on dream vacations. We've had people that have doubled their revenue in 5 weeks. We've had people that have had dramatic shifts and increases in sales revenue. We've had people attract more aligned clients. So I think we have a fairly diverse population. I don't have like one concrete metric for their success. It would be a good thing to incorporate. It's been something I've been thinking about, but I haven't specifically pursued. So it's a little more ad hoc on a case-by-case basis, but you're going to make me. I sent a follow-up text coming after this conversation. I'm like, okay.
Well, I think client attraction and client retention and client referrals as metrics for you to know you're getting results with clients are probably
we do have referrals. We have great client retention, and a lot of times people that depart, we have a high, like within a year or two, they come back for something else. Like people do keep coming back. They keep coming back. Yeah. So many of our clients stay for 2, 3, 4 years at a time. And then they might go off and do something. And then they'll come back for a thing. They might come back for a thing. Eventually people have different needs, but most of our people, they do stay for multiple seasons. The first year they come because they think they need something. And then this is what I really need. Let me keep getting my feet wet. So,
well, you and I have been through the similar training, and our paths have crossed in certain training institutions. And we know some of the metaphors or memes that these use that, we're like an onion, right? We peel back the layers. Yeah. And so, you on first contact with a client, you take that external layer off and then they go about do their business. They come back and they're in the onion now. Yeah. And then the other thing that I say, and I know you've said it too, or you've heard it, is that if the client can say it, that ain't it. Yeah. So on first contact with the client, they think they have this problem, but it's really this problem, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we help them solve their perceived problem, I would say it's usually within the first week, they get oh, something's cool. Something's great. Nice and shiny. Within the first 3 months, they start to go way deeper, but around the 6 to 9 month mark, they're just really getting it. There's different benchmarks I see from the energetic shifts and how they're talking and in the questions that they're asking. A lot of times if they're newer people and they haven't done as much work, you can tell based on the kinds of questions they're asking. Our group, our trainings are very engaging. They're very interactive. And so people get a lot of connection time. And so it helps us make the content really relevant and timely for them.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. So metrics are important to me. The other thing that's important to me is, I'm obsessed with helping people overcome trauma. And I'm a fan of Gabor Mate. And he says, all of us have unresolved trauma. And if you have any physical or mental disease, then you have unresolved trauma. Mm-hmm. Do you bump into that with your clients that, the thing that's actually holding them back is some significant emotional event, perhaps trauma holding them back. And once you help them resolve that, they have this acceleration?
Yeah. I still do breakthroughs. So we work we do one-on-ones we do breakthroughs with clients just like you do. Yeah. And then we also have the group program. And I find wherever they're ready to jump in is is the best place for them to start. Like some people are just not energetically ready to do the breakthrough. So yeah, sure. In an ideal world, they would deal with that, but they're just not ready to commit to that. Like you actually have to be ready to commit. And so we start people where they're ready to start. But those that have gone through the breakthrough process, like they definitely have like, we can do the clearing. I've only had 2 people that haven't really had trauma with trauma protocol. They're just like, I have nothing, no significant emotional events. And everyone else they've always had something. And I do offer those breakthroughs because I don't want to babysit people, but I do want to help them overcome their dramas and traumas so that they can move on. And I think those that are willing to do the breakthrough process and willing to take the time, it's so short, relatively speaking. Like in the grand scheme of things, it's like the tiniest thing you can do for the greatest results, and it works. Like it's so, and I think that's another thing. I don't know if you're promoting this. I don't know if you're still doing the PACE training, but you're like, I did the NLP training, I did all the trainers training, but then I went to you and Tara and did your PACE training, and I'm like, wow, like you were able to really organize it in a way so I could get so many more predictable results with clients. And it's like such a no-brainer. I mean, sometimes, I have to change things, but I still follow the system like 98% of the time. It like reduces the prep work. It increases results. It's got predictability and it delivers. And I think it just boosted my confidence to be able to go through the breakthrough process and help people faster, better, in a more predictable way. And so I do want to thank you for that gift because it's like, it rocked my world. It's so amazing.
Thank you for that unsolicited plug, but I'll jump on the plug if I could for a second. I don't do PACE anymore, but I don't do NLP anymore. Okay. So I don't do PACE or NLP because I took the 2 courses, Larisa, and I smashed them together. And I created a 12-week course because I just saw so many coaches graduating at the master prac level who are incompetent, not because they were incompetent people, but they didn't have a structure to do the work in. And so you and I both know that in every course you take, there's some, the Pareto law is there. 20% of the content creates 80% of the results. And then there's all the fluff to keep you engaged and that needs to be there. So I stripped a bunch of that off. And then I did something else. I've spent 10 years looking at the neuroscience behind those techniques that work. That's my obsession. And so for every technique we're teaching now, I'll give you an example, a non-NLP example, Hebb's rule. We talk about Hebb's rule, wiring and firing. The people get a 15 or 20 page research précis with academic scholarly references. So they can go down that rabbit hole as deep as they want. So all the rabbit hole people, if you want to go into the neuroscience behind Hebb's rule, because I'm going to talk about Hebb's rule lots on the course, go for it. So the course is now 12 weeks. It's long. And you said it. Repetition counts. And I think you and I did fast track training, right? We went on a 1-week course where they hit us with the fire hose of knowledge. And man, it was exciting. But 6 months later, I would talk to my peer. Yeah, thank you. And they would say, do you remember what happened on day 2 in the morning? I said, I don't remember the whole week because I got hit so hard. So I've changed the whole thing. So it's 12 weeks and we do a complete practicum. So PACE doesn't exist. But it's called now, Larisa, the clinical application of NLP and neuroscience. So,
well, whatever you got, it's good. Because like, I think you nailed it because the content and the training and the tools are amazing. But what you did so differently is like, it had structure, but you made it, you freaking built us the architectural blueprint and handed it to us in a clean binder with pretty beautiful, like your worksheets are beautiful. Everything is amazing. And it works. And it's just like, I think because you've had the experience and you've thought these things through in such a structured way, it was such a gift. Like I love using structure, but I don't want to have to create all the structures. I mean, there's a training I went to in Nashville, Tennessee with John. And he's like, you can earn your way in or you can buy your way in. And we all need to earn a level of our way in, but it's way easier to just buy the way, like pay you a few dollars and have a system that can change so many people's lives. Like, and boost your confidence as a practitioner. I think it's just huge because we really underestimate what we can do with these tools, but when we can use them in an intelligent way, it changes lives. Like, it's changed my life. Even just the way I talk to my son, the questions, the kid's 8 years old. Like, he's still an 8-year-old boy with like a lot of poop and a lot of fart jokes, but and some of the things he does, like, jump on his face on the sofa 30 times in a row, that he's still 8. But then he can have some really intelligent conversations. Like, the questions he asks about life, about philosophy, about money, about mindset, the advice he gives me, he's like, Mama, perhaps you should remember that what you focus on expands. And if you're going to be grumpy, you're going to have a bad day. You might want to focus on something good. Like, and he spits the things right back at me. He eavesdrops on my calls, and like, he knows, he listens to this work. He's ingesting this and he's embodying it. And even when I think he's not listening, he'll just like holler something from across the house, and he's there. But it's such a gift to be able to change my own life using these tools. Like, I mean, I think that's another thing. It's like, I don't just do this as a practitioner. I've done it as a client. I still do it as a client. Why? Because I know what a difference it makes to me. And I think when it comes to the coaching industry, is a lot of coaches, they like become coaches because they want to be coaches. It's a cool thing to do, but they don't do the work. Like, they kind of get excited by doing the work, but they do it once. They don't keep doing it for the rest of their lives. And
I think there's a really inappropriate movement in the coaching industry right now to become a 10X coach, just to make 200,000 a year because you coach. And I asked the people, well, what real world problem are you going to solve through your coaching? They can't answer it. I'm just going to build a course and sell it online. And okay, so to me, coaches have a purpose. They want to connect with another human and change the experience of their lives for the better. And so, I'm grateful to hear you say the things you say. If you, I don't know, there's not very many live viewers today, but we get hundreds and hundreds of viewers because we post this on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. What call to action would you like to share with them? What message would you like them to take away from this? What would you like them to do? If they go, my God, I need to talk to Larisa, what do you want them to do?
Okay. So I think God has his own path for each and every one of us. And one of the reasons I wrote this book, I have to rewrite it because I don't love the title. It's so stop procrastinating your life away. But we are not like, how you do anything is how you do everything. You might be putting little things off, but this book is really about you putting the most important things off in your life. Say
that again. How you what?
Do anything is how you do everything. So if you're procrastinating on the little things, you're doing that with the big things. And it's not the little things that we like. Sure, the little things matter, but where it really hits home is, do you have that little dream that is like sitting with the dust bunnies under that dresser that hasn't been cleaned for a while? Do you have that calling, that dream that God planted inside of you? Like, if you have an idea, and this is, I think, Maxwell Maltz talks about it in Psycho-Cybernetics. If you have an idea of something that you want, it's in chapter 2, that if you have this idea, you have the ability to fulfill it. Whether you choose to fulfill it is up to you. But if you have a desire, it's up to you to get your butt off the sofa and do something about it. And I think from a spiritual perspective, like, I think we should all be spiritual. I use the word God, but whatever you want to call it, whoever, like, I think like these dreams were planted inside of us, and it's our moral obligation to actually do something about them, because they're not only going to give you gifts in your life, they're not only going to improve your family's life, they're going to help so many people around the world. And if we all lived in these happy little bubbles with rose-colored glasses, the world would be a much better place. There is so much good in the world. There is so much abundance. There are so many opportunities, and I want you to go for them. I want you to have the courage to go for them. That doesn't mean follow everyone else's path. That means get real with you and follow your own path. Stop listening to everyone else. Put your earmuffs on. Do I have? Oh, no, I don't have them. Oh, here they are. I put these on a lot to work because I got to tune up the mics. Like these are a staple in my office. I got I've got these all over the house. I've got 3 sets of these noise canceling headphones. But I
Joe Rogan has Jamie. I have Neil. So Neil, you're going to have to, so I need a pair of those.
Yeah, these are like, I think they were my sons, but I have a small enough head so they fit me.
There's a takeaway right there, boy. Get a set of earmuffs. Shut the world out.
Yeah, like tune it out. Pay attention to you. Listen to those messages that are planted inside. And I mean, if you want to get the book, it's stopprocrastinatingbook.com. You can download a free copy. There are tons of bonus materials. It is not like a pleasure read. This is a manual for you to follow that can improve your life. And it's designed to nudge you, to inspire you where you need to be inspired, but also kick you in the pants where you need to be kicked in the pants. You might want to puke at some points. Congratulations. That's called an up level. However, it's also your calling for you to stop putting the most important things off in your life and just frickin' go for them. Because I love how you've taken this trauma thing and you're going full force. You play full out with everything you do, Alan. And the people's lives that you touch, they are so blessed, whether they're practitioners, whether they're clients, and everything in between. And I think we can all bless our own people, whether we're retired, whether we're working, whether we're taking care of kids, whatever it is, whatever stage of life you're at, you are here for a reason. So go play full out.
That's so beautiful. And if I were to talk to 10 of your clients, what would you like them to say about their experience of Larisa?
Oh my. What would I like them to say? Oh my, you should have prepared me for this question. I don't get asked that very often. Like, it mattered. It mattered. Not I, but like the work they're doing mattered to them. The work they're doing mattered. I'm going to start crying right away. Oh my word. But like, it mattered. This work, this.
Oh, we pierced the veil of logic and techno-rational bullshit, and we're now right into the emotional thing.
Oh my God, you're totally. I'm tearing up. Like, don't let me. Glad my mascara is waterproof here.
Well, but I think that's important.
Yeah.
And that's why you're successful, because you want it to matter. And I think that's a good place to put a bow on this, and for us to say thank you to Larisa. I really encourage everybody to go buy her book. If you're interested in learning more about NLP, there'll be a link in the comments to the clinical application of NLP and neuroscience. There's also a look. I have a free ebook as well. There's a link in there to Inspyrd Healing for the journey from tragedy to triumph. And if you want to book a consult with me, there's a link in there as well. Thank you so much, Larisa. It's been my pleasure. I'm getting signals from Neil, but I don't know what any of them mean. They're hand signs. Oh yeah, Q&A. He reminds me we get Q&A in the. There we go. There's an important part of the thing. Sure. Why don't we do that? So let's see what pops up in the commentary here. We give Larisa a moment to hear.
I see the questions. I guess I have special access.
So what's one simple action I can do now or on a daily basis to build momentum and take action instead of putting things off?
Pick one thing and finish it. Like, focus on the finish. You've got to pick one most important thing and actually finish it. And then when you're done that, you can do the next one and actually finish it. This is one of the things I learned from Bob. He said, get a piece of paper, list the 6 most important things you need to do. Rank this next part, rank them in order of importance and start with number 1. And then when it's done, only then move to number 2. He didn't say finish all 6. He said, start at the most important and actually finish it. Even if it takes like 3 days to do, when you finish the most important thing, important things will get done. So pick one thing at a time and actually finish it. It sounds so simple. Like, I still, 8 years later, talk myself through this process. I'm like, what are the most important things to do? Okay, what's the most important out of these? Let me rank them. Like, if I don't, I totally cheat. I have to talk myself through it out loud. Like, it's not a natural. I think
it's one of the traps from working at home. You write the list, and before you start the most important, you go clean the kitchen.
Or go to the bathroom. You got to get your extra steps in, right? No, but you like pick the most important. For me, it's I don't mind doing the work, but I don't always. It's not natural for me to identify the most important because I'll hesitate, and so I have to I have to very deliberately decide like what's actually most important. It's a
and Larisa, let me ask you a question, because I'm very interested in this. When we write a list like that and we put them in a hierarchical structure and we're focused on number one, my personal experience, because I'm pretty skilled at procrastinating,
cancel that. Like, stop saying that.
Yeah, well, I'm good at it. But if I focus on the actual task of doing it, I'm not very motivated. But if I just move to 15 minutes past or towards the end of the completion of it and what I'll get by completing it, if I focus on that, my whole energy shifts. Have you experienced that? And how do you do that? Just, how do you build that into your neurology?
You have to practice.
Repetitions.
I mean, it's not, no sexy answer, no magic pill. You just got to practice.
Well,
I talk out loud. You talk out loud.
That was it, but
talk yourself through it, right? Like, speak out loud, just like you would to your child. Talk yourself through. Okay, Alan, let's go. Next step, we're going to do this. Okay, good job. Round of applause. Like, I mean, simple things.
It is amazing how simple it gets, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Is there another question in there? What's the real reason people procrastinate when they know what to do?
I don't think there's necessarily one reason. I mean, ultimately, you're avoiding something. Sometimes we are in the habit of procrastination. It's a learned behavior that we've adopted from parents, caregivers, other people. And so sometimes we're not even aware of it. If we are aware that we're doing it, you're probably avoiding something that's got an emotional charge. You're afraid that it's going to be painful. You're afraid there's some kind of fear or there's some kind of negative emotions that you are avoiding. And so it's just less painful not to do it, even though it is painful not to do it. And we want to feel comfortable. We want to feel safe. It feels dangerous to step out of that comfort zone. And so ultimately, if something, like, you're going to get some kind of secondary gain by putting something off, but it's not necessarily going to serve you long term. A lot of times we're so focused on recency instead of long-term perspective. And so you really need to start balancing, like, what am I doing today versus what's most important long term, and build that muscle to be able to just get up and start doing things. It's not always easy, but build the systems, build the structures, build the infrastructure so you can get up and do it. And I find, for me, like, accountability is a success insurance policy. If I want to make sure I'm going to do something I don't actually want to do, I hire people. Why did I hire a personal trainer? I used to run a Pilates studio. I used to train people. I used to teach anatomy and biomechanics classes. Like, I know my body. I know what I could do. Why am I hiring a personal trainer? Because she made a little program for me. She works out with me once a week, 2 weeks. She said, okay, 2 days a week, you're going to go to the gym. I said, okay. Like, I could have thought of that, but no, I needed her to tell me that. And then I have to fill out a chart, and then I have to report to her. Why do I go 2 days a week? Even if I don't want to, I get up at 4:30 in the morning to get to the gym because I have to tell her that I did it. I don't want to,
amazing,
but I built in the accountability. So yeah,
it's brilliant.
The structure.
Brilliant. Any other questions in there, Neil? Here we go. What daily habit has helped you the most in staying consistent? Well, there's one right there. Getting
morning
accountability
calls.
People.
Yeah, I'd say it's morning calls. My morning calls. At first, I started doing them for clients. I used to teach Bob Proctor's programs once a week. It was the Thinking into Results program. It was fabulous. And my clients were super motivated. I'm like, Bob says study every day. You guys should do this. And here's what you should do. And the few people that did it made a change. And those others, they were like, oh, well, it's not, this happened. My family came to town. 12 excuses. They were all valid, but that didn't help them move ahead. And so I started doing the studying because Bob said, do the studying. And he's like, only study an hour to an hour and a half max. They capped our consultants' study time off to an hour and a half because some people go for like 6 hours because it's really exciting. Like, who doesn't want to read all day? So they're like, okay, consultants, you can study up to an hour and a half, but then get your butts to work. And so we would study every day because we were expected to. They wanted us to have that integrity. And I told clients they didn't. So I said, for 1 month, this was about 4 years ago, I will open up my mind and tell you what I'm doing for my studies. And so we got on Zoom at 6:30 every morning for that whole month. At the end of the first week, they're like, wow, it's the end of the week and I'm still motivated and things are still good. It wasn't like Wednesday or Thursday that they dropped off. They were still going all week long with their commitments, with their energy, with whatever they were working on. At the end of the month, they're like, Larisa, you can never stop doing this. Why? People that didn't study were willing to show up because all they had to do was click join now. And they didn't want to have to do the extra thinking of what am I going to study? How am I going to do this? What if I'm not? All they had to do was click join now. Join
so
now.
You run a 6:30 a.m. study group. Yeah,
which is why I have to be back home. Like I go to the gym at 4:30, so I could be back home to do my 6:30 a.m. call, right?
Right on.
I do that. And at the end of that first month, I was like, at first I said, I don't want you to invade my privacy, but then I really started to like it. Like I learned so much from my clients, and that's been such a regular part. We do mindset, we do accountability, we use the tools that we learn in NLP. We use the tools that we learn in all our mindset trainings and in all those books on my bookshelf. We rotate through them over the course of a week or two. We do all the basics, but we keep doing it every day. Someone has something blow up. You know what? We do something to work on it. It's like they're not the only ones because we're in a morphogenic field. Everyone's connected. So it just helps everyone move ahead, and we all fall off the wagon. But what happens is because we click join now, we get back on and we can recommit. And the bounce back rate is so much faster because there's no reason not to. There's always a reset every single day.
Beautiful. Oh, here's somebody from Cardiff, UK. What will make me start on the backlog of house tasks?
Okay, there is look up Mel Robbins Declutter Podcast. She's got some guest. I can't even remember what it is, but look up Mel Robbins Declutter Podcast. She ran it like 2 years ago in a shorter form, and then she reran it last, I think, December 2023, December something, and just listen to it. And then just do what she says. Listen to it and do what she says. And every time I need to declutter or my clients do, I'm just like, just go listen to that podcast episode because that woman knows what she's doing. You will not have 5 boxes of crayons in a red cup. Okay. Keep it simple. Like listen to it, take the next step. Listen to it, take the next step. Listen to it, take the next step. She totally reframes the whole idea of house tasks and decluttering and just this idea of mess.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. All right. Neil, are we empty now? Are we done? Cool. We're through the Q&A. Larisa, thank you again for joining us. Your energy is infectious. God bless all those people who have access to you. And there you go. StopProcrastinatingBook.com is in the chat. The link's right there. And all the links to Larisa's work will be in the notes for this interview, and of course they're being posted on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And please remember, trauma is an injury that can heal. We'll see you next Wednesday.